Hi, welcome to another edition of Bauer Business Bites. My name is David Tighe, the Managing Director of Bauer Media here in Northern Ireland. And each week we invite a guest on and we get some insight and analysis on a subject that is of great importance. Well, it couldn't get any more important this week than Alastair Hamilton, who is an advisor for the Workforce Testing Programme. I think I've got that correct, Alastair. Welcome to Business Bites.
Yeah, you have got it correct, David. Thank you for the invite to be along with you today.
Well, it's great to see you. Let's get straight into the subject matter. And we are talking today about testing in the workplace. And it's COVID-19, of course, that we are talking about. And Alastair, you're an advisor now to the Workforce Testing Programme. For the uninitiated, what is the Workforce Testing Programme?
The Workforce Testing Program has been set up specifically to enable businesses to be able to either return to work or return all of their employees to work in a safe environment. And it's specifically for asymptomatic testing. So to try and find those people in the workforce who may be carrying the virus but don't know about it. And uniquely, a third of the people who have coronavirus actually don't show symptoms. And you can imagine if those people are in the workforce, innocently spreading the virus to other people, and it takes some time for that to become evident. So there are two streams of testing. The one we're all familiar with, where if you show symptoms, you go along to the test site and you get tested there and follow the results. This is asymptomatic testing, and it's regular and rapid testing within the workforce on a regular basis to try and identify those people who may be carrying the virus but don't know about it.
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. So I'm running a business, and I think this sounds like a good idea. What do I do next? Is there a lot of red tape? Do I have to jump through a lot of hoops and what do I get at the end of it? How does it look and feel?
Well, let me start with the end of the question. What you get at the end of it, David, as an employer, you get a free supply of rapid tests. So these are little lateral flow devices is the technical name for them. They're little tests that you self-administer or are observed and administered within your workplace. Little drops go into a cassette, and within 30 minutes they give you a result of positive or negative, and those are uploaded to a website. The Northern Ireland Executive are providing those tests free of charge to all businesses in Northern Ireland. Enough tests to be able to do 2 tests a week, which is the recommendation. So we provide those free of charge. We provide training to the companies to enable them to do it, and all of the technology that flows around it to be able to upload those results. You asked at the start, what is the process? Well, the process is pretty straightforward in that you go on to our website, which will be shown at the end of this interview. It is, if you basically search for rapid tests, you will find it in the Northern Ireland Health page. You register an interest there. One of the team will then contact you and walk you through the process of actually making an application. As you would imagine, there's a little bit of sensitivity in here around data and management of data and the results around that. So there is a little bit of a contract that people need to sign up to. And we again can talk customers through that to make it easy for them to progress, get registered on the site, and then start to receive their free tests. So we try to make it as straightforward as possible, but yes, inevitably there is a bit of paperwork involved to get customers up and running.
Well, it sounds pretty straightforward, and of course, I think we would both encourage any business that's watching this interview to at least explore the opportunity. What's the what's the responsibility of the employer once they've committed to this program? And have they got a responsibility to deliver some information back to your operation?
So probably worthwhile explain, David, just there are 3 different types of workforce testing. The first is where a test site is set up within the business premises, and staff are made available to be trained to oversee the process. That is what we recommend for the majority of businesses, particularly those with 50 employees or more. We strongly recommend that they set up that facility. I know there's a little bit of cost involved in setting that up, but it gives the best results whenever things are supervised. The next level down from that is where an employer registers. They get a unique number as part of that registration. The kits are sent to their site and they distribute them to their employees. This is perhaps useful for those who have distributed workforces or those who are out in vehicles. They take the test kits home, they test themselves, and they upload the results themselves. Uniquely, the results of this are tied back to that employer number, so it gives some visibility to the employer in a generalized way of the results. They don't get individual data for individual employees. The third is very straightforward. You can go online and order the kits yourself to be delivered to home, or you can pick them up at one of the normal test sites that I'm sure people are now aware of around the country. If you do that as an individual, the results are not tied to your employer, so it just doesn't give as much information, but nevertheless, we're still encouraging people to do it because it's better to test than to not. Just on the point about data and what gets sent back to, it's actually not to us, it's to the main Department of Health in England who oversee all of this. The results specifically are relayed back to the Department of Health. Obviously, if there's a positive test on one of these rapid tests, you then need to go and get a full test, a PCR test at one of our sites, and then follow the instructions from there. The data is sent back to allow the track and trace process to work. What is sent to the employer is just generalized data around the number of people who have tested positive, but not the individual employee information, unless they specifically set up an arrangement themselves on an employer by an employer basis. So it's really set up just to make sure that people test and that we have as safe a workplace as we can for both employees, but also for customers and for general public in some of our environment where people would be coming in, say, to supermarkets and things like that as well.
Thanks. That's really clear, Alastair. I appreciate that. I was going to ask you, in a former life, you ran Invest NI, and as we look to the future, what sectors do you think this testing program is really going to benefit? How do you think it will improve our economic outlook by getting into this testing program?
So I think the key sectors that we targeted at the start of this, David, were the construction, manufacturing, and food production, food distribution. And those are the areas where people couldn't work from home, had to come into a workforce. I must say businesses did a super job in Northern Ireland creating a safe working environment for those people. And this just adds another layer of safety over the top of that as we start to come out, hopefully, of this pandemic and get back into normal business. The other areas that we're now targeting, and I would make an appeal today to those businesses, would be retail, tourism, and hospitality. Obviously, as those reopen again, as the executive have made some movement on that, these are environments where there are close contacts, and this testing environment just gives some extra layer of safety to those sectors. But clearly, from an economic point of view, we need all of our sectors working well together. Construction has started to pick up. The agri-food industry has worked very well through the pandemic, and there's opportunities now for them to grow significantly. And we really need the drumbeat of tourism and hospitality, which is such an important part of our economy in Northern Ireland. And we need to get exports growing again. Many businesses have done well on the export front over the pandemic, but we really need to push that on. So there is a real opportunity here for a real building back better and a bounce back, I suppose, from the pandemic, because businesses are in really good shape and are very resilient and able to pick up and grow again.
Yeah, Alastair, listen, we're coming to the end of our conversation now. I think it's been a really enlightening chat that we've had this morning. As we come to the end of it, how long do you think we will be testing in this type of way? Is there an answer to that question yet?
I don't think I would want to hazard a guess at that, but we're running this program for a significant period of time. I think testing as a sort of a foundation layer of safety and security within our business environment will be here for some time to come. As long as, I think the guys have done a super job on the vaccination program. This is just another layer of security, and I think it will be here for some time to come.
Alastair, thanks for being our guest today. All the details of how you can get into the rapid testing environment are coming up at the end of this conversation. It's been great to have you as a guest. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, David. It's been a pleasure.